Back when I first started dating my husband, he told me about a toy line and associated cartoon from the 80s I hadn't previously heard of. Starcom. Created by Coleco, it was basically just G.I. Joe in space, but with magnets, smaller figurines, and motorized spring gimmicks. A few short years later, we came across this. A Shadow Bat, 2 Shadow Parasites, and 4 pilots to go with them. Now, the Shadow Bat belonged to the bad guy faction of the series, the Shadow Force. Basically, they were Cobra, but really that's not important. The cartoon got cancelled. What is important is the toy. The Shadow Bat and the Shadow Parasites were never actually sold together as a package, but for the sake of this video, I'm considering this a set. As mentioned earlier, the Starcom toys used magnets extensively, so if I hold the bat and turn it upside down, the parasites stay on magnetically. As we move on to the Shadow Parasites, I'd like to point out the magnet on the bottom of the smaller craft. That's what held it in place, it wasn't glued. Taking a look at the Shadow Parasite, we see it here, molded in black, baby blue, gray, and transparent purple plastics, with sticker details picking out exterior details and the occasional displaced control panel. On either side of the canopy, we have 2 gray buttons. The one to the left of the canopy opens the cockpit, revealing one Lieutenant Mag, presumably named for the magnetic gimmickry of the toy line. You'll note he is missing his helmet visor, which is pretty commonplace on second-hand Starcom human figurines. Without the visor, you can get a good look at Lieutenant Mag's face, with his awesome brown mustache and eyebrows. The figure's boots are magnetic, so he can stand on just about any ferromagnetic surface, like the blue panel on the top of the cockpit. As we close the cockpit back up, we get to the toy's spring-driven motor gimmick. Pressing the gray button on the right of the cockpit spreads the toy's wings, opens up 2 hatches on the front, exposing guns that can also be extended, and extends the thruster block on the back of the toy. To close it back up, we push the 2 cannon barrels back into place, squeeze the hatches closed, and then push the engine block back into place. Slotting the Shadow Parasite back into place, we move on to the Shadow Bat itself. Measuring almost 14 inches from tip to tip, the Shadow Bat is, some kind of multi-role air or spacecraft. I say this because I've never actually watched the cartoon. Like the Shadow Parasites, the Shadow Bat is done up in black, baby blue, gray, and transparent purple plastics, with stickers picking out exterior details all the same. Much like the Shadow Parasites, the Bat also features these ferromagnetic panels on her dorsal surface near the tail. The 2 cannons on either side of the front canopies can swivel and be removed. The canopies are opened by buttons just forward of these guns. In the front cockpit, we have Major Clag. He is also missing his visor, and in addition to part of his hand and his nose. He too features magnetic boots. In the rear-facing cockpit, we have Captain Battlecron 9. I am not making that up, that is the character's actual name. He's a robot, or an android. He actually wasn't included with the Shadow Bat, but since I got this secondhand, Anywho, he has magnetic boots as well. In front of either Shadow Parasite are 2 blue buttons. Pressing them opens 2 hatches on either side of the aircraft, exposing guns, although one of them is actually missing on mine. Behind the rear-facing canopy, we have a hidden panel. Pressing on the rear of that panel, we can swing out yet another gun, whose barrel can be extended. Last but certainly not least, we get to the Shadow Bat's spring-driven motor gimmick. Pressing the round blue button on the tail of the craft opens a sort of cargo bay. And the ramp can also be articulated with a button as well. The ramp features these ferromagnetic panels just like the top of the aircraft. Getting it back in is real easy. We just press on the bottom of the cargo bay into the fuselage, and the Shadow Bat is ready for action. Is the Shadow Bat a good toy? I think so. I love the spring-driven motor gimmick, which, by the way, will probably never spoil, unlike a battery-powered electric motor. And the fact that the figurines have magnetic boots gives them so much extra playability, even without guns. It's just a shame that Starcom got eclipsed by toys with better, more notable cartoons in the late 1980s. G.I. Joe!